there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. We are coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon. Protest opposite the presidential secretariat continues. Traffic congestion reported in Colombo. Coronavirus death toll rises to 212. United States requests its citizens to prevent from traveling to China. Britain leaves European Union. Now those stories in detail. A special religious observance was held at the Hunupitiya Gangaramaya temple in Colombo last night to invoke blessings on those affected by the coronavirus outbreak.
The religious event was attended by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, politicians and many more factions. The religious observance was conducted under the auspices of the Chief Prelate of the Amarapura sect, Most Venerable Kotugoda Dhammavasatero, and the Chief Prelate of the Gangaramaya Temple, Venerable Dr. Kirinde Assajithero. The religious observance will be conducted for a period of 7 days.
The protest that commenced yesterday opposite the presidential secretariat, citing several demands, is still ongoing. The protesters have been invited to meet Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara. Our correspondent said the protesters are engaging in the protests by blocking the entry route to Colombo 3 along the Gaul Road. Employees who were attached to the Department of Rural Development and Ceylon Petroleum Corporation engaged in this protest. However, the protesters attached to the Department of Archaeology have ended their protests following discussions with authorities. They allege they have been terminated from their employment with the appointment of the new government and requesting the government to do justice for them. Meanwhile, the government requested all the groups to believe in the government's plan on resolving the issue and call off the protest. Moving on with more local news, police said the heavy traffic congestion was reported in Colombo due to ongoing protest near Gaul Face. Several roads were also closed due to rehearsals of the Independence Day celebrations. Moving along, UNP MP Buddhika Pathirana attended an event in Kumburupitiya yesterday.
Nutritional supplements were provided to 600 malnourished children in Kumburupitiya division under the Samadhi Kakulu Suwaseta program. Since 1989, the number of children diagnosed with cancer have increased drastically. If the number of patients stood at 100 back in 1989, it has now increased to 500. One of the main reasons for this is our children do not consume homegrown vegetables and fruits. They rely on calcium in milk, but the amount of calcium obtained from a glass of milk can be obtained from 5 spreads.
Now for an extensive update on the coronavirus, Zulfiq Farzan joins us from the newsroom.
Thank you, Martin. Now the coronavirus has not only spread across mainland China, but has made its way all the way to the Philippines as well. The latest confirmed report coming out from the Philippines several hours ago early this morning. Now the coronavirus has not only spread in those regions, but there's a case in Sri Lanka as well. Now the Johns Hopkins University is gathering all the data relating to the coronavirus, the deaths, the confirmed cases, as well as those who have recovered from proper administration of treatment. And they have formed a dashboard on the internet, which you can see behind me. Now, according to the accumulated data, 9,776 confirmed cases have been reported all over the world, with the highest from mainland China, that's 9,658. And likewise, there's a breakdown of how many cases have been reported, with 14 from Thailand, 12 from Hong Kong, 10 Singapore, and 1 each from Finland, Cambodia, India, Nepal, Philippines, and Sri Lanka. Not only does this dashboard give us the data on the number of confirmed cases that have been reported across the world, it also gives us an understanding about the number of deaths as well. Right now, there are 213 confirmed deaths related to the coronavirus, and this figure has also been confirmed by Chinese government authorities as well. In addition to that, 187 people who tested positive to the coronavirus have already recovered and been discharged from respective hospitals, and a majority from Hubei province in China with 116. Now, if you look at this map behind me, it highlights all the red zones where the highest density of coronavirus patients have been reported or cases have been reported, in addition to the deaths as well. The tiny dots clearly mention that it's a very few and less risk of the coronavirus spreading into those areas, but the highest density is recorded from Hubei province in mainland China, where Wuhan, the city where the outbreak was first reported. Now, at the same time, the World Health Organization has declared an emergency situation because of this outbreak. Now, the decision was made by the World Health Organization at an emergency meeting which was called for in Geneva, Switzerland.
The vast majority of cases outside China have a travel history to Wuhan or contact with someone with a travel history to Wuhan. We don't know what sort of damage this virus could do if it were to spread in a country with a weaker health system. We must act now to help countries prepare for that possibility. For all of these reasons, I am declaring a public health emergency of international concern over the global outbreak of novel coronavirus. Let me be clear. This declaration is not a vote of no confidence in China. On the contrary, WHO continues to have a confidence in China's capacity to control the outbreak. As you know, I was in China just a few days ago, where I met with President Xi Jinping. I left in absolutely no doubt about China's commitment to transparency and to protecting the world's people. To the people of China and to all of those around the world who have been affected by this outbreak, we want you to know that the world stands with you. We're working diligently with national and international public health partners to bring this outbreak under control as fast as possible.
What kind of role can WHO play in coordinating international efforts to work and develop the vaccine? And is there a specific timeline for the development of the vaccine? Thank you.
On the vaccine, we have already started, and we have invited relevant partners, and there is progress, and we will inform you as soon as we have detailed information.
Meanwhile, the number of deaths in China due to the coronavirus has increased to 213. Foreign media reported that the number of coronavirus cases increased by 1,220 during the 24-hour window ending yesterday. The number of coronavirus cases in China has increased to 10,000. As of now, the number of coronavirus cases in countries other than China sums up to 129. A majority of infected are those who had been in the Chinese city of Wuhan. Meanwhile, Chinese authorities have urged Chinese manufacturers to refrain from production activities for another 10 days. The government of Japan has classified the virus as a designated infectious disease, a move that allows compulsory hospitalization, stricter screening of people entering the country, and the use of public funds for treatment, among other measures. The decision comes after as a third chartered flight carrying Japanese citizens arrived from Wuhan. Meanwhile, South Koreans have expressed their opposition against the government, trying to diffuse their ire over plans to quarantine hundreds of citizens said to be flown home from the epicenter of a new coronavirus epidemic in China. The U.S. State Department has told Americans to refrain from traveling to China because of the deadly coronavirus outbreak in the country. It raised its travel advisory for China from level 3 to level 4 because of the virus, which has infected 9,600 people in the nation and killed 213. The Embassy of Sri Lanka in China said that discussions pertaining to airlifting of 33 Sri Lankan students in China have been successful. Acting Ambassador K. Yoganathan said, He hopes to make immediate arrangements to land a special aircraft to bring these students back from Wuhan. He added that 61 students were brought back to the island last night. Several people suspected of contracting the virus have been admitted to hospitals around the country. Chief Epidemiologist Sudat Samaravira said that these patients are currently receiving treatment. He said they are being tested for symptoms of the coronavirus. A few people suspected to have contracted the virus have been admitted to hospitals that include facilities to monitor the virus. Dr. Sudat Samaravira said that these individuals are currently receiving treatment at these hospitals. Meanwhile, 10 people suspected of contracting the virus are currently receiving treatment at the Infectious Diseases Hospital in Angoda. Dr. Sudat Samaravira said the Chinese woman who was diagnosed with the virus is gradually recovering.
Now, more than 200 passengers aboard a U.S. aircraft which airlifted people from China and landed in California arrived in the California airbase in the early hours this morning. Now, one of the evacuees had attempted to leave the airbase and has been forced by authorities to remain in quarantine until March. Well, all the other passengers have been given an ultimatum of 3 days to remain in quarantine, and after that they will be released from the airbase. Well, reports also suggest, according to foreign media, that certain passengers have volunteered to stay for more than 72 hours to get themselves tested and cleared of the coronavirus. Now, at the same time, a cruise ship with more than 6,000 people aboard was on lockdown yesterday in Rome, Italy. Of the port in that area, and after that is because 2 Chinese people all of a sudden fell sick and had to be taken off the boat for tests, and now Italian authorities have confirmed that they tested negative to the coronavirus and there is no fear for that cruise ship to leave the area. However, still Italian authorities are yet to grant permission for this cruise vessel to leave the port. Now, you can also access this dashboard which you see behind me with all the information about the coronavirus, all the data accumulated by the Johns Hopkins University, by simply logging on to our award-winning website, that's www.newsfirst.lk. And then now the construction of 2 makeshift hospitals for treating the patients who had come down with the coronavirus is currently underway in Wuhan city in China.
Currently, more than 4,000 workers and 100 machineries are toiling away day and night at the construction site of Huanshan Hospital, which is planned to take up an area of 33,900 square meters by the time it goes into operation on February 3rd. To ensure construction speed, workers are working on 3 shifts assembling wards and hospital units. Building a hospital from scratch within a week is not a first for China. Back in 2003, Chinese authorities built Zhongshang Hospital in Beijing to respond to the SARS epidemic. It successfully treated 1/7 of the nation's SARS patients.
Moving on with more local news, the Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of Luxembourg, Jean Azelborn, arrived in the country last night.
According to the Ministry of Foreign Relations, this is the first high-level official visit from Luxembourg to Sri Lanka since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1972. During his visit, Minister Jean Azelborn is due to meet with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, as well as his Sri Lankan counterpart, Minister Dinesh Gunawardena.
The Agriculture Minister that was located inside a privately held building in Rajagiriya was relocated to the Govijana Mandiraya in Battaramulla today.
The relocation of the Agri-Ministry commenced this morning following religious observances. All sections and departments of the Agri-Ministry were relocated to the Govijana Mandiraya today. The decision to relocate the ministry will save more than 3 million rupees that was spent on a daily basis to maintain the Rajagiriya building.
පසුගිය රජයේ මේ ගොඩනැගිල්ල ආංශික කමිටු පිහිටුවීම සඳහා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට පවරගත්තා. නමුත් ඒ අවුරුදු කිහිපෙම
The former government took over the matter to establish sectoral committees. However, during that period, the government did nothing other than incurring additional expenses. They relocated the ministry to the Rajagiriya building, but our government decided to relocate the ministry once again to the Govijana Mandiraya, and we submitted a cabinet proposal in this regard last December.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Martin Satyanes, and your latest news update will come your way at 1:55. Until then, have a nice day.